He says he never sees a white person on the street. Now, you're speaking to a white person here. We're no racist. I don't agree on what he says. Should not be racist against nobody. We're all the same, we're all community, we all stick together, look after each other.
When Robert Jenrick went up to Handsworth in Birmingham, he claimed that in the 90 minutes he was there, he, quote, didn't see another white face around.
It was absolutely appalling. It's as close as I've come to a slum in this country. That's not the kind of country I want to live in.
His comments cause outrage and controversy, but Jenrick has stuck to his central point that there is a lack of social cohesion across the country and integration, particularly around what he calls British values. So, is Handsworth one of many places across the country with a lack of community? Does the name Robert Jenrick mean anything to you?
Robert Jenrick, no.
No. I don't know.
Is he that guy that made that comment?
Some politicians who say...
Robert Jenrick.
Okay, what do you mean?
I think it's nonsense.
Well, to be honest, I'd say he's racist more than the community around here.
Why do you think he said it?
Well, you know what, I wouldn't like to know why he says it, but I think it is wrong.
Do you think the comments are racist?
Well, yes.
I disagree. I'm a volunteer for the Sikh Soup Kitchen, which happens every Sunday. And we serve 220 people that are in need of food. And the amount of white people that attend that, you'd be surprised. And they are all from Handsworth. You know, they're all locals.
If you move to different areas where the majority of people are white, would you consider that place not for other people to live in? If you move out of Birmingham, majority of people are white. If you go Liverpool, Manchester, London, you might see mixed communities. But other than that, nearly 80% of people are white. It's UK. Even though I'm an immigrant, I'm from another country. I came here in 2005. I've studied motor vehicle engineering. But end of the day, I'm contributing to society.
There is a lesser number of whites, I would say. But no, where I come from, I work under NHS. Yes, we see everyone equally. And I have been working there from last 3 years. And in my community where I work, where I live, I've seen everyone treating everyone equally.
I mean, I can't see why people are being so horrible about other religions. I mean, you take a look at the temple. The temple's really nice. That's a nice thing to look at. I think people are just trying to cause a mass thing of racism, to be honest. There's no need for it.
The Catholic church I go to, the priest is white. You know what I mean? Like I said about the white man. That's why I brought it up, because of genuine. There's loads of white people there, friends. It don't really matter. You know what I mean? Where Robert Jenrick lives, I don't know, but he won't live here. And which, middle class, say, white person will live here? They wouldn't, because, I don't know, maybe they find it a threat, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's good. I'm an ethnic person. I've been treated well here, so I can't complain.
Maybe what is true is that there is community here, but it's not the type of community that Robert Jenrick personally is used to and fosters himself.
Yeah, to be honest, my friend, I went to boarding school, you know what I mean? So I've seen the two sides of it. When I went to buy a house in Pilsley with my ex-white wife at the time, when I was driving back, some white guys at the pub, "You nigger, what are you doing there?" So, you know what I mean, why would some black people go and live in an area why they're not welcome when you can just live in Handsworth and you're welcome? It's not segregation, it's just where you're welcome. What would I say to him? I don't know, take care. You know what I mean? Take care, mate. You're welcome.
All right, have a nice day.
Have a good one.
Well, Philip, again, going against Robert Jenrick's perception of not only Handsworth, but of Birmingham and Britain at large. He had only come here 18 months ago and he has found a home, a community, and he made a very salient point that a lot of the minority ethnic groups had felt as though they couldn't live in some of the more affluent, white-dominated areas, and in turn they've moved to places like Handsworth and built up their own communities, and now that is being used against them. So I'm here outside the Nishkam Health Centre here at the top of Soho Road, and I'm here to meet Shuranjit, who is a local activist, Labour Party member, and runs a voluntary service here at the community centre.
I think Robert Jenrick fundamentally misunderstands what life is like here in Handsworth, misunderstands our communities and misunderstands our cities. And to remedy that, I'd be happy to invite him down to Soho Road. We can break bread. That bread might be a gyros, or it might be a samosa chaat, it might be a dosa, but we can sit and we can learn about what makes communities here so special. Those values of love, compassion, solidarity, which we hold dear here in Handsworth. And unfortunately, I think Robert doesn't hold those values dear. And we can absolutely help him to learn these things, to become a bit of a better person.
You think it's based off naivety?
I think it's based off willful naivety. I think Robert knows that his political party aren't doing as well as they would hope to be doing. And he knows that their party conference is not receiving the attention it might need. And so he's done a job in picking on Handsworth, picking on Birmingham to try and get some attention. And unfortunately, he has spoken in a very negative way about our local communities, which is going to do damage because people will look down at Handsworth, they'll look down at Birmingham, and this makes a real impact on our city, but we will stand up and we will stand together.
I'm in the city centre in front of the grand Victorian structure that is home to Birmingham City Council. And I'm about to speak to Councillor John Cotton, the Labour leader of Birmingham City Council, who is one of the most prominent local politicians in the city. Councillor John Cotton, thanks for taking the time to chat. Let's start with Robert Jenrick and his comments about not just Handsworth but Birmingham in general. What did you make of some of his comments?
Well, look, I take great exception to somebody who knows nothing of Birmingham making divisive comments, trying to turn communities against each other simply for political gain. This is all about Jenrick's ambition to be Tory leader and nothing to do about supporting the great city of Birmingham. So, I think that's just quite outrageous behaviour by a senior frontbench politician.
Do you think it is a sincerely held view, or do you think it is just for political gain?
I mean, you'd have to ask Robert Jenrick that. I mean, my view is that it's clearly about political opportunism. In Birmingham, nearly 60 years ago, a Tory frontbench politician came to this city and made an incredibly divisive racist speech. And the then leader of the Tory party, Ted Heath, removed him from the shadow cabinet. And it's very disappointing to see that the successors in the Conservative leadership haven't taken similar action.
So you think this is reflective of Enoch Powell's Rivers of Blood speech, which was made in Birmingham, and it's along those sort of lines?
I think if you're making comments around the colour of people's skin and using that to make these kind of divisive comments, that's just, that's going down a road that is not acceptable. That shouldn't be part of our political discourse, and frankly, it doesn't reflect the reality of Birmingham as it is today.
You describe them as divisive. Would you also describe them as racist?
I think if you're making comments based on the colour of people's skin, I would consider that to be a racist comment. And that's why I was very clear in calling these things out. There is no place for racism in this city. As I say, it's a great and diverse place with many communities who've made their home here, many communities that work together and seizing the opportunities that come to Birmingham in the future. That's what I want to be focused on. And I think it's really, really outrageous that a frontbench politician makes comments of this nature just for their own gain.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, I wasn't able to find anyone who agrees with Robert Jenrick's perspective on Handsworth. However, it was still clear that the locals were frustrated with the issues facing the area. From mounting rubbish caused by the ongoing standoff between striking refuse workers and Birmingham City Council, to struggles to find jobs and housing.
Times are harder. It's hard to find jobs, even for people who are highly educated. Majority of our infrastructure has moved down. That's what the politicians should be looking into.
Has it been harder with the cost of living, some of the pressures to foster a community spirit around here?
Well, it has been hard, it has been hard because people are struggling still.
I think when you have a council that doesn't do anything for the local community, I think it will be very hard to get them on side, because the way I see it, they probably see Handsworth as a dump, and why should we invest money in clearing it up? That's the way I see it. It's the same with your council tax rising, travel cost is rising, but what do they do with that money? They're not investing it on Soar Road, are they? Because it is a mess. I'm not going to lie. There's mounds of rubbish everywhere. What is the council doing about that? I think the council got a lot to answer for.
Especially financially, trying to get a house, trying to get a job. And their houses are very expensive now. And you see a shithole house, and then the price is a lot. And then you live in this shithole house, and then the landlord refuses to fix it, and then they want to give you a raise every time, like raise their rent. So it's like you don't get what you're paying for.
There is a real crisis in our local housing market. There are many, many houses which were used as family houses historically, which are being converted into homes of multiple occupancy or supported accommodation to support those who have existing and more acute needs. And the difficulty is a lot of those people who require additional support, they're not getting the right support, which means that their challenges are being kind of pulled out into the local community. They're being exploited by people in the local community, and that's fueling things like antisocial behaviour, increases in our kind of local drugs-related issues, increases in sex work.
There's things that need to put in place in this country, because for now, even the job-wise, which find it hard, and I've been here like for 15 years in Birmingham, but can I tell you, I don't even have my own housing. I'm still in temporary accommodation with my one daughter, and she's asthmatic. And when it's called the council, they don't say nothing. So we don't understand. We don't know sometimes, maybe because we're not from here originally, so maybe they treat people differently. That's what I feel. And for the Birmingham city, Birmingham is dirty. It is. Birmingham is so dirty. So who is that? It's the government, because this is your country. You need to put your country together. Yeah. You're paying tax and you're not getting everything that you want.
I don't think it's got anything to do with foreigners. I think if any decision that they make goes wrong, they blame the foreigners.
Yes. But it's the politician.
Yeah, it's their decision that went wrong, not we are the one that work here, you know. We do the job here, we pay the tax, we do a lot here.
Brummies are pissed off. That's the verdict I've received throughout all of my reporting across the city this year. There's a real accountability vacuum. Labour politicians blame the Tories and Tory politicians blame Labour.
Austerity certainly had a consequence, just in the fact that there is less public space and public realm than there was. You know, we've seen the depletion of services, we've seen the impact of changes in the welfare system that have impoverished people as well.
So does he have a point there, would you say?
Well, I mean, there's a point around the impact of austerity, but of course that's not the point that Robert Jenrick is seeking to make, you know, and he's never once apologised for the impact of austerity.
Robert Jenrick is talking about social cohesion and community, but at its heart, Brummies are caught in the crossfire. I have spent the entire day on Soho Road in Handsworth speaking to people, not just about Robert Jenrick, but about the council. What do you think they told me?
Well, I know for a fact that there are real challenges out in neighbourhoods like Handsworth and many other parts of the city. The impact of austerity is felt very deeply, that those challenges have played out in communities. I often talk about Birmingham being a tale of two cities in some respects. One is a city that's very much on the up. We've got record levels of investment coming in, jobs and growth, businesses locating here. That's a huge amount of opportunity, but we also know that we've still got levels of unemployment that are far too high, we've got levels of child poverty that are far too high, and a gap in life expectancy between the richest and the poorest. The challenge that we've got to face up to is how we ensure that we use the city of growth and opportunity to fix the challenges that we have in too many of our neighbourhoods, and that's the work that we're absolutely focused on as a council, together with the government and the mayor.
There's a lot of anger, a lot of visceral anger, of feeling like this is their lot, and that there is a lot of contempt for the council, a feeling that it doesn't really matter whether it is you who's running it now or the Tories who controlled it before, but the council in general has taken away such a lot from their neighbourhood and their community. And ultimately, if you are to get them back on side, it will require trust from residents onto you, the council. Do you think people are willing to get back on side with you?
So I think there's 2 points to that. One is I've been really clear in the 2.5 years I've been leader of this council that we need to change the way we do business. We need to be doing more in partnership with communities, working with,
what does that look like
rather
on
than
the
doing
ground?
to. So that is about, I mean, it's building on the experience of stuff like we did in response to the cost of living crisis. So working with local organisations to find common solutions to problems. So that's a really important way. We need to change the way we do business, and I absolutely get that. Secondly, though, the consequences of austerity have meant that the council essentially has been doing less.
But as opposed to locals, that would just seem like an excuse, or like, you know, well, it's an accountability vacuum in a way where the local government is struggling and it's bankrupt, but you know, for them it doesn't really matter if it's the Tories or Labour in many ways.
You know, and my focus absolutely is on how we rebuild our connections with communities, how we work more closely with them, and how we take advantage of the opportunities in terms of investment that's coming into the city.
Can you understand why they're sceptical though?
Look, say I've never lived anywhere else. I've lived in this city my entire life, so I understand the scepticism, you know, and I have conversations with people right around this city every day. So we've got a job of work to do, I think, to how we work more closely with our communities to address some of these deep-seated challenges.
I've been around here 30 odd years, so community's nice, community's brilliant.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice day. A white person in Handsworth, someone who helps out in community hubs, in food banks, in warm banks, that is, in a very difficult social climate, one of many community figures who are part of the backbone of this country, and that doesn't see people just through the binaries of their skin colour, but sees them as people, as Brummies. And it's just quite refreshing when you kind of get all het up and caught up in the rhetoric of Jenrick et al. And actually go outside the bubble and speak to normal everyday people. She, Kath, is an exemplar of pillars of the community, but also just everyday people.
And that guy, he needs to come to Birmingham.
Would you show him around?
Yeah, why not? Definitely, he needs to come around, travel around Birmingham. You know, Birmingham is considered as a food hub. I thought white people start liking curry. What happened to that?
Maybe you could take Robert Jenrick for a curry.
Why not, man? If he enjoys it, might be too spicy for him, but he can try some.